What's up, Kickstarter? Rob McCallum here, writer-director of Box Art, a gaming documentary. And as we head into week 3, I thought we could do another little update and structured around some more questions that I've seen online from our backers. So let's dive right in. Question 1, how will you structure the film? Non-stop, talking heads, a gab fest? So talking heads is essentially kind of framing like this, where you have people looking off screen, talking about what the, whatever the subject matter is. And to answer the question specifically, no, it's not just going to be non-stop talking heads. We hope to showcase some process elements, actually see some of these illustrators draw, or some on-the-fly kind of footage where we're talking with them in a more non-traditional setting. I like things to be a little loose, a little energetic, and you don't always get that with talking heads. Will there be talking heads? Of course there will be. Usually that's the underlying kind of element in most documentaries, so they will be there. How much, I don't know, but because I know that they can be boring if they go on and on for a long time, I will use them very sparingly and make sure to inject as much energy as possible. Because, hey, I want this to be a fun documentary, and it's not fun if it's boring. So let's make sure that we get something exciting, unique, and visually interesting. Next question is, how will you choose whom to include and not to include? Hitting your base goal understandably limits the travel budget, so who will be included? Great question, and I don't really have a specific answer for you because a lot will depend on schedules and availability and travel costs. If we only hit the 30K mark, of course, we can only do so much travel, and we will basically really have to pick and choose who we include in the film. And it's really going to be dependent on when they're available and when we can get to them. So it may be 6, 8, 10 people. We don't know. We will try to balance the kind of people that we choose. But that's the reality with a limited budget. But I feel pretty good about what we can do with the 30K after Kickstarter costs, after shipping costs, after material costs, post-production set aside, with what we can do with travel. Next question is, when first announced, you mentioned producers Doug and Nicole, the ones that own a Vegas-based game store, and their development art by Seta. Is that storyline still going to be included? The short answer is we're definitely going to film it. I think it's a real interesting example of modern day box art, and it's kind of what spurred the motivation for this on top of just wanting to know who these people were. The fact that these guys in a local store to me had this artwork come in and they didn't know what it was really kind of spawned this whole project. How many people out there don't know as well? So following them and their journey through discovery and gathering more information, I think will be super unique. How much will it be part of the finished film? I don't know. We have to film and see how compelling it is and what doses we can include it. It may be relegated to a mini featurette, the kind of thing that you would see if we hit our first stretch goal. It may be a big part of the documentary. It may be just a small example at the beginning of the film, and then we come kind of back to it at the end as a bookend, as in the thing that kind of prompted this question. Who is responsible for the box art and what place does it have in our society or in our current day game industry? So I don't know. I think it's interesting. We will see where it goes, but with documentaries, you never know what the final product's going to be until you have all the pieces that you can play with. It's kind of like a big puzzle. You got to arrange everything just first, and then you get an idea of what that picture looks like. Next question is, can you break down some of the economics and budgets that you guys will be working with? So I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. If we hit the $30,000, we lose 10% to Kickstarter away, so we're down to 27. We have shipping costs and material costs, which will probably take another $7,000 away, leaving us with around 20 grand, depending on who selects what in the backer rewards, because shipping amounts, of course, vary. And then travel costs, crew costs, and post-production budget, plus insurance and legal. So we really have less than $20,000 if we hit our base goal to do this. And of that, travel, I would probably say, would only be half, so maybe only $10,000 to travel. When you start adding up flights for 3, 4, 5 people, hotel rooms, food, of course, for everybody, and fuel and rental cars, it disappears real quickly. So that's why I said, I think we can still get 6, 8, 10, maybe a dozen people involved, depending on schedules, but we'll just really have to organize and plan things out really well, which, because I've done this before, I think we can knock off fairly well. I don't think it would mean that we shoot, the week after Kickstarter ends. We may have to kind of wait till September to start shooting, but I think we've got a good shot to get a lot of good people in the can and really tell the story, even if it's on limited voices due to the budget that we raise. I should also say, there are investor opportunities And we've been talking with some people outside, so above and beyond what we raise in Kickstarter, we could see some additional funds come in that lengthen the story, which, you know, everybody just benefits from, and, you know, we're not opposed to something like that. It's just got to be the right fit. Tell us more about the Sponsor Night reward tier. Okay, Sponsor Night, of course, is a little tip of the cap to Shovel Knight, which is a great game by Yacht Club Games. Sponsor Night reward tier essentially allows you, your game company or your store or convention to be at the front of the film. You know, so for example, it'll say Pyre Productions presents in association with your game store, your game convention. And that'll be there kind of forever. Nobody can make us take that off. And if this goes to an episodic format, which is something we're still considering, even if we hit only the $30,000 mark, it could still work very well as an episodic thing. That's a title card that gets placed in front of each and every episode. So episode 1, your game store, you know, presents in association with everyone else kind of deal. And that's some really great, what I call evergreen advertising, and that'll never go away. It's there for life. And people that allowed us to shoot on Nintendo Quest and feature their store have already told us, you know, I'm glad you guys featured the store so well and you shot the sign and all the standard things that you do when you're trying to communicate where the location is, because people have gone into their stores and say, yeah, I saw this, you know, place in Nintendo Quest and it's great. So we thought it would be really great to have that same kind of opportunity, but up front for some stores, conventions, or events, or game devs with box art. So if you're interested in that, there are a couple more left. I believe one is gone already, and we'd love to add your name to the list at the top. So that'll do it for this week, guys. This is week 3, of course. It's kind of a make or break week for us. We think we can do pretty well in the next 10 days or so, which will take us to the last week of the campaign. We really need to kind of get into the mid-20s to have the kind of best chance, so we're not super sweating the last 3 or 4 days where we'll naturally see a bit of an uptick. So we really need you to spread the word about this. If you want to see this, if you want us to do all the hard work that we've been doing for the last 6 months and finally execute on it, we just need you to share that link and tell all your friends about this. This is kind of once in a lifetime opportunity, and it would be a shame if it disappeared, but that's kind of the great thing about Kickstarter. If there's no support for it, then, you know, maybe it's best that you don't spend the next 2 years kind of working on it and going in debt. So I really think we have got a great shot. We have over 225 backers right now, which is fantastic. We're almost at the $20,000 mark, which is amazing. And we've only got about $10,000 to go. So I'm very excited. Feel pretty confident that we can get to 30K and really make something special out of this that may spawn into something even bigger. So thanks for myself, everybody at Box Art. Game on.